Hi everybody, Tammy here. So now we are going to talk about our foundation chain. So after you have mastered your chaining, which is this right here, which we just did a foundation chain, and you've learned how to crochet, how to hold your crochet hook and how to hold your yarn, the next thing you want to learn how to do is how to work your stitch into your foundation chain. So there are two different ways that I am aware of that I'm going to show you. So we're going to concentrate on the single crochet first. So we're going to do a single crochet. So when you're working a single crochet, and usually the pattern will tell you to work a single crochet into the second chain from your hook. So when you're looking at your foundation chain, the loop on your crochet hook right here does not count as a stitch or a chain. And the only time it ever would is if the pattern stated it did, or if it's in Tunisian crochet, which is another whole different lesson. So this does not count as a stitch or a chain. This right here is your first chain. This is your second chain. So now remember, if you're looking at your chains, you can count your chains by the V that they make. So this is your first chain, this is your second chain. So when it tells you to crochet into your second chain from your hook, it's telling you to skip this here first one and then insert your hook into this here second one and work your stitch that the pattern tells you. In this case, we're going to be working a single crochet, and we're going to just go and insert our crochet hook under this here top loop, just like that. And then we're going to yarn over and bring that crochet yarn underneath that top loop and up. And now we have two loops on our hook, and we're going to yarn over again, and we're going to bring that yarn through both of those loops. And that is a single crochet. And we're going to do that again. So we just worked a single crochet into that second chain from our hook. So now we want to work a single crochet into the next chain. So if you're looking at your foundation chain, you can see our single crochet that we just did was just in this chain here. So our next one would be right here. So you would insert your hook right here under that top loop again, yarn over your crochet hook, bring that yarn through that stitch or chain and bring it up. You have two loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again with your crochet hook and bring that yarn through those two loops, and that's your single crochet. And then there's your next stitch. You insert your hook underneath that top loop. You're going to yarn over and bring that yarn through that top loop, that chain, and now you have two loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again and bring that yarn through those two loops, and that is your single crochet. So we're just working a single crochet into the foundation chain by working under the top loop of that foundation chain. And after we do this foundation chain, I will show you another method or another way that you can work your stitch into the foundation chain that some people like to do. So I'm just working underneath that top loop, inserting my crochet hook, yarning over with my crochet hook, bringing it through that foundation chain. Now I have two loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and bring that yarn through both of those loops, and that creates my single crochet. And again, inserting my hook into the foundation chain underneath the top loop. I'm going to yarn over, bring that yarn through that foundation chain underneath the top loop and up. I have two loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over with my crochet hook and bring that yarn through those 2 loops, creating that single crochet. And let's do that again. Insert your hook. I'm going to yarn over, bring that yarn through and up. 2 loops are on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and bring that yarn through those 2 loops, creating that single crochet. And again. So when you're working a single crochet or any stitch on the foundation chain, you're actually inserting your crochet hook underneath the top loop, and it's just 1 loop. But when we work our second row, unless the pattern states otherwise, you'll be inserting your hook underneath 2 loops, and I'll show you that here when we work our second row. And then we have 1 stitch, 1 chain left, and if you look closely you can see our little V here, and you can see our knot here. This lets you know there's nothing beyond that, and to the right of that you can see that little V. So now we know we have 1 stitch left to do. So I'm just going to insert my crochet hook, yarn over, bring that through and up, and then I'm going to yarn over again and bring that through both of those loops. And now I just did my first row of single crochets on my foundation chain, and this is what it looks like. And now if you look at the top of that row, you see our V's again, so you can see those little V's. So now to do the second row, some people like to chain 1 and then turn their work. I always recommend, especially for beginners, to turn our work first. So you can just turn your work like this. So you're looking at your work like this. All you have to do is take your right side and just push it forward. So now it's on your left here, and now you have your hook over here. Your work's at your front. Here's your crochet hook. We're going to do a chain of 1, so that means you're going to yarn over with your crochet hook and bring that yarn through that loop that's on your hook, and that's chaining 1. And that is a turning chain. That just helps us to be able to start our next row. And that chain 1 is not going to count as a stitch. It's just there to help us turn. Now remember, the loop on our hook does not count as a stitch or a chain. This is our chain 1 that we just did, and this right here is our first stitch that we want to work into. So now if you turn your work towards you, you can see that this is indeed our first stitch that we want to work into. You can see the little V there. So now if you insert your crochet hook into that first stitch, you're going to want to make sure that you're going underneath both of those loops this time, because we're working on the second row, unless the pattern stated to work in the back loop only or the front loop only. But we're working through both loops on the second row. So we're going to yarn over, bring that yarn through that stitch and up, and now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through those 2 loops, and that's your single crochet. And there you are. We're going to work a single crochet in the next one. So I'm just inserting my hook into the next one. It should automatically go, if you turn your work towards you, underneath both of those loops, and you want to make sure you're going underneath both loops. Yarn over, bring that yarn through and up. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and bring that yarn through both of those loops, and you're going to continue to do that all the way to the end. So insert your hook into the next stitch, make sure you're going underneath both loops, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up, yarn over again and go through both of those loops, and that creates your single crochet. The only time that we do the 1 loop is when we're working in that foundation chain. And now you should always have 2 loops to work underneath. There's my 2 loops, yarning over, bringing that yarn through and up, and then yarning over again and going through both of those loops to create that single crochet. And again, inserting my hook, yarning over, bringing it through and up, yarning over, and bringing it through both loops. And again, inserting my hook into the next stitch underneath both loops, yarning over, bringing that yarn through and up, yarning over again, and going through both loops. And again, inserting my hook into the next stitch, yarning over, bringing it through and up, yarning over, and going through both loops. And again, inserting my hook into the next stitch, yarning over, bringing it through and up, yarning over, going through both loops. And again. And then if you're not sure if you have another stitch left on this row or not, when you're looking at your work and you turn it towards you, you can see there's your little V, and then there's that little end knot. See the little end knot that is vertical there. So you know right to the right of it there is a stitch, and we haven't worked into it yet, so you want to make sure you get into that last stitch before you complete the row. So we have one little stitch left, so we're going to insert our hook underneath both of those loops, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up, and then yarn over again and go through both of those loops. And then row 2 is completed of single crochets. And now we want to turn our work again, so just take your right side and just push it forward, turn your work, and then you're going to chain 1. So yarn over your hook, bring that yarn through that loop that's on your hook, and that counts as your chain 1. And that is your turning chain. And we don't work anything into that chain, that's just there to help us turn to work our next row. So we're going to work a single crochet into each of those stitches across. So remember, the loop on your hook doesn't count as a stitch or a chain. This here chain 1 was our turning chain, so we're not going to work into that one. This right here is our next chain, our next stitch that we want to work into. If you're not sure, turn your work so you can see that little V where your stitches are, and you can see that this is your little chain 1 that you did, and that this is the loop that's on your hook. So you want to make sure you don't do anything with the loop on your hook. This is your chain 1, which is your turning chain you don't do anything with. And this right here is your first stitch that you want to work your first single crochet into. Insert your hook, yarn over, bring that through and up. 2 loops are on your hook, yarn over, go through both loops. And again, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, bring that through and up, yarn over, go through both loops. And again, and this is just a nice simple single crochet. And what's nice about this is you can make it like a nice little coaster or dishcloth in a single crochet, especially for being a beginner, so you can make something nice and little. So we're just doing a single crochet to practice. You're inserting your hook into the stitch, yarning over, bringing that through the stitch and up. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again and bring that yarn through those 2 loops, creating that single crochet. And again, insert your hook into the next stitch. Remember, you're going underneath both loops, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up, yarn over, and go through both loops. And again, remember, if you're not sure if you have one stitch left, just turn your work towards you. You can see that vertical bar, and you can see there's a stitch that hasn't been worked into yet. So you want to make sure you get that last stitch in there. And you can also use a stitch marker if you wanted to. There we go. And there's our row of single crochets. And that is how you work a single crochet in rows off of the foundation chain. In my next video, I will show you how to do a single crochet into the back bump of the foundation chain. But this is the most common way that people start and work their foundation chain. Hope this helped. Let me know if it didn't, or if you have any questions, please leave me a comment below and I will get back to you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you liked, give me a thumbs up. Thanks, everyone.